let's go ahead and take what we've worked on and we're going to apply it in a different context. So I have all of these images of marine invertebrates that I took from a classic illustration that was, that's open, that's public domain at this point. And so, this is the full page that had all of the different animals on it, but these are the different pieces. And so, one of the things that would be nice is rather than having all of these things like, essentially statically placed within their frames and everything like that, is if we could overlay objects and if we could build up more complex things and create, an interesting way of interacting with a project. Something else we need to talk about is adding audio. And then we could talk about video as well. It's very, very similar to adding audio to a page. And so let's go ahead and get started with some of these settings. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and, click on the pages up here. We're going to create a new page and we're going to just call this, we'll call this absolute positioning. Or maybe we can just call it positioning.html or something like that, or position. How about that? And .html. Hit enter. Okay, so now what we are probably going to want to do is take some of what we've done previously and copy and paste it over here. Now, it might be nice, honestly, to make just a template page that just had the basic items on it. But what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're just going to go to the very top body tag because we're still going to be using the same style sheet. And although actually we may change that as well just to make our life easier. But let's go ahead and just copy from there to there. And then we are going to go ahead and go into our position.html. We will click in there and then paste. And then let's go ahead and if I go ahead and just delete this caret and then finish it again, it'll automatically create the body tag for me. And the other thing I'm going to need is I'm going to need my ending HTML tag, which I have now created. Okay, so let's get going. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we want to have several images in here, and we don't necessarily want them to be within a division at this point at all. We want them just to be within the body element. So I'm going to type image source, and then these file names are really long, right? Annoyingly long. They were generated, I basically took all the layers from a Photoshop file and I exported the layers as images. And so it generates this really long name. So what I would like to do is I'd like to be able to just take the path here and copy this. Now, if I right click on here, I can copy the file, I can copy the path, or I can copy the relative path. And the relative path means that it's essentially going to terminate wherever the first shared folder between the file that I'm in and the file that I'm accessing are. And so in this case, right, all of these files are contained within one folder, but except there's this images folder that has these in here. So I've copied that relative path, I right click, and I go ahead and hit paste. Now, the reason that I want to copy the relative path and not the full path is that the full path is going to look something like this, right? It's going to be users, it's going to basically say file, users, your username, something, 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 something. It depends on, if it's in Windows, it's going to look a little different. But if I was to then go ahead and say, all right, well, I'm ready to publish this site to the internet, I'm going to publish my site. If I had these things linking to a very specific file path on my computer, then this is not going to work, right? It's going to be looking for images in the wrong place. And so I'm going to get a lot of broken image icons. Whereas if I do the relative path, it's essentially going to be just looking in the folder that I've uploaded to whatever, web hosting service I'm using. And it'll say, oh, well, the index.html file, there's this images folder that's in that same folder. I'm going to look in there. And so this is much safer. for moving your project around. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I've selected that. I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste it. And we're just going to do 2 to start with. And I'm not even sure if I pull this out a little bit, which let's see here. Okay, so I'm just going to change the 2 characters that are different here rather than copying that relative path again. So I'm just going to say 1. I'm going to drag this over because my monitor is out of space, and I'm going to say this is layer 2. Right? Is that what it says? Yeah. So it's 0, 1, layer 2. So I've got these 2 images. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to go ahead and I don't know if restart is going to, no, it just updates the one that's already there. So I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to select this. I'm going to do the run and debug. I wish it would just go a little bit different than that, but whatever. Okay, so it's actually, these images are broken. Why are my images